Good afternoon, guys. This afternoon, what I want to speak about in this video here is multiplying fractions. And in particular, I'm going to be looking at multiplying algebraic fractions. So multiplying fractions, personally, I believe the easiest operation to do with fractions. The second easiest operation to do with fractions is dividing fractions. And you'll see that in the next video. And then finally, after that, addition and subtraction, they're on par with each other. So let's jump into it. Let's look at multiplying fractions. So to multiplying fractions, I've simplified it down to 4 key steps. Step 1. There is nothing to do but get the two numerators, the two top numbers, the numerators, and you multiply them together. Multiply the numbers with the numbers, and we're going to multiply the algebra with the algebra. With the exception in this scenario that I'm not going to write my algebra as powers straight away. I'm going to save that to the very end. After I've multiplied numerators, boom, I'm going to multiply denominators. Again, the same thing. Multiply the numbers together, multiply the algebra together, those pronumerals together. And again, leaving the power part to the very end. After I've done all that multiplying, I'm going to get my calculator out and I'm going to type just the number component on my calculator to see if it can simplify. And if it can simplify, that is whatever fraction my calculator produces. That's where I'm going to write that down instead. But be wary of the invisible one. And remember what we mean by invisible one here is if I have the fraction 24 over 2, the fraction 24 over 2, that's just going to be on your calculator written as and expressed as 12. There's a hidden 1 in this scenario here, and that is that our denominator is actually 1. It's 12 divided by 1, which is just 12. But we don't write that over 1 because it doesn't change anything. But we need to remember that that hidden 1 is there for if we still have algebra in our denominator. So just be wary of that one. Moving on. So once we've simplified the numbers on our calculators and we've checked for those invisible ones, we're going to check if the algebra can simplify. And what I mean by check if the algebra can be simplified is cross one out from the top and the bottom if they match. Just one. So I'm coming over here to this expression here. And I'm looking at it, and this x in the top matches this x in the bottom. So I've crossed out one, pair from top and bottom. I look along, and there's another x in the top, and there's another x in the bottom. So I can cross those pairs out. But notice now how there's nothing left in that denominator. I've crossed out, I've divided out anything that was actually left in the denominator. We know that nothing's not there. We know that there is going to be that invisible one there still. So just remember, invisible ones are everywhere in maths. So coming back to it, I've crossed one out from the top and one out the bottom if they match. Look again if there's another matching pair, cross them out. And remembering that x times x times x was x cubed, and x times x was x squared. Remember earlier, I said don't worry about the powers. We're going to leave the powers till the very, very end. This is the reason why I wanted you to leave the powers till the very end, because it allows us to see one in the top and one in the bottom. Now, all that we are left with, when we looked at all that we are left with, is just this x over 1. So that's what I write as my final solution, x over 1. Let's go through and look at an example from start to finish. Alrighty, so our example here is 2x over 7y squared, and we're going to multiply that by 5xy over 12. So step number 1, multiply the numerators together. So I'm going to get 2x, and I'm going to multiply it. 2x multiplied by 5xy. And when I do that, I get left with 2 times 5 times x times x times y. Do the same thing to the denominators. 7y squared times 12. Remember that 7y squared is actually y multiplied by y. So I've got 7 times 12 times y. Again, leaving the powers out of it until the very end. Now I know that 2 times 5 is 10. So I have 10xxy. No, 7 12s are 84. So I have 84yy. Now, at this point, this is where I want you to grab your calculators out. And on your calculators, type the fraction 10 over 84. So we're going to check 10 over 84 in our calculator. And when we type 10 over 84 in our calculator, we're going to end up with 5 over 42. So we know our numbers are going to simplify to 5 over 42. After we've typed that on a calculator, we're going to now check the algebra. So looking at the algebra, can I cross anything out from top and bottom? Is there anything that are matching? Well, there's only one set of matching, that is the y, one y from the top and one y from the bottom. So I'm going to cross them out. And now I'm ready to write my final answer. We said that the 10 over 84 is going to become 5 over 42. We look at the x's. That's now x squared because it's x times x. So I write x squared. And then the denominator, the algebra, there is just one y left over in the algebra. So I'm going to write y. And there we have it, multiplying fractions. I just zoom out a little bit. Remember, it was step 1 was multiply numerators together. Step 2, multiply denominators together. Check your fraction on your calculator. See if it simplifies. If it doesn't, it's okay. If it does, great. Watch out for hidden ones. Check your algebra. Is there one in the top and one in the bottom that match I can cross out? If there is, sweet. If there's not, leave it alone, move on. After that, you just combine everything together. 10 over 84 became 5 over 42. X squared, y, job done. Cool. That's it for multiplying fractions, guys.